So Socrates has to prove that God's saying is wrong, so he warns us. Real wisdom is the property of God. And this oracle is his way of telling us that Plato and Aristotle, and he is Socrates, that ugly, beautiful person. To be a professor is to declare his commitment to knowledge. To profess is to receive the calling from God, that I serve knowledge without compromise.
Some of the things that I've written are just, I follow a hunch. I wander, I think about something, and I watch a movie about zombies and porn, and then I decide I'm going to write about zombies and pornography, zombie porn. And this is not a very traditional academic topic, but I use theories from important academics, I engage in close readings of a film, and then finally I get published in a journal.
But who gets to read this adventurous work?
I mean, I think you could use film and multimedia. So, like, one of my articles is probably read by about 12 people in the world. But when I do videos, my last videos were seen by 500,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
Some of these populisms are deeply anti-intellectual, and maybe the US and Australia are actually paradigmatic of this, right? There is a suspicion of knowledge, there's a suspicion of expertise. We have a political task, and that is to educate students. You know, that is our populism.
But at the same time, I'm asking myself the question of why there is almost a refusal of knowledge, a refusal, I think some of you said it, cynicism plus knowledge here in this society, that as if this is such a small group thing.
Very simple question about this photograph, but it's a question that takes it beyond the limits of science and human knowing itself. And that question is, what are these people thinking? So what is this person thinking? So we simply don't know what these people are thinking. We have no idea.
You know, I thought she was going to tell me that her cat died. I was prepared to cry about her cat. And then I'm trying not to cry about her.
Trying to understand this underlying thoughtscape of Hong Kong. What are they thinking? So, Zin, do you want to tell us about this person, then we'll hear them for a minute.
Hi, I'm Jack. I've got hemorrhoids. It's painful, I bleed, and I've spent $400 Hong Kong dollars to get rid of it, and it's still not gone.
To talk a bit about wandering wandering in privilege. Some scholars wander because they can't live where they might want to live. They can't say what they want to say, right? So they end up having to wander. And we know that we work in institutions, many of us, in which sitting is practically a job requirement. We also know that walking, there have been more and more studies, so the walking is incredibly good for producing new and better thoughts.
What is the tricycle enabling? How does it produce a remapping of the city? How does it clog all those hegemonic structures that get imposed on people, which block flows of people? When I first arrived in Shanghai, it seemed like this city of modernization, this radical modernization. And I was thinking to myself, how do people survive amongst that, right? It's just washing over so many people. And how do you resist that? You resist that. Some people are resisting that by moving, being constantly wandering, by being constantly moving, by not stopping to settle down into a shelter. Right?
I'd like to make a further invitation now. If you could just close your eyes, take a comfortable seat, connect with your breath, close your eyes.
And a cock just crowed.
Economic restructure.
I'm walking down steep steps to Villa de Peni, River Vasco. When I arrive at the villa, I walk through the garden and down a little hill, and more steep steps, until I arrive at a bench that looks out at the sea. And I'll sit there and meditate for an hour, imagining the waves washing over some of my troubles, imagining some deeper reality.
Do you miss your phones yet?
Yeah.
So one recent clustering of ideas that I've had is gathered around this concept, black data. Alarmed by revelations of global surveillance by the NSA and inspired by new digitally enabled and circulating forms of protest, I began to wonder about the ways that black queer identities and experiences might interface with these new activisms. So when I think about these things, I think about the way that in the United States, black people have been reduced to kind of numbers, the forms of bare counting. I think about slavery, I think about mass incarceration, racial profiling, and violence. I think about advertising, I think about state and corporate powers collaborating with one another.
It's really a very great opportunity for me to attend this conference.
Very interesting, and I really like the fact that we changed locations, so that gave us kind of a sense of movement that worked, I think, with the conference itself. And the other thing that I really appreciate is the format for this symposium, where we had outright art performances, we had outright kind of papers, and then we had things that were in between.
I felt like people were really responding to these ideas. This idea of kind of like academia can be very stifling, that we have a kind of crisis because we're into this cult of productivity and we're not producing very interesting work. And then some presentations just also blew my mind a little bit. So yeah, I'm definitely happy. For me, the highlight was going on a walk and burning papers, because I think that is something unique, and I don't think that's being done at other conferences, and I wanted people to think about how much they write and produce and publish, and how it just circulates in a very limited circle.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Last call from the barbecue bar.
Hang on.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to burn is this leaflet. Oh, thank you.
I wanted to read that.
No, it's too late.
I was waiting.
So the ideas on the paper is living the material world.
Goodbye.
You might say goodbye to them.